We've got a Cardinals showdown slate. Packers at the Cardinals. Thursday night football, week 8. We're not biased. I promise. What's going on, guys? This is the Edge DFS. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by Ellie Hernandez. Ellie, what's going on with you, man? How you doing?
Doing pretty good, dude. Finally get to talk about Cardinals, and everybody has to listen to us. Obviously, if they want to. But,
they don't have to, but they probably should.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. I'm excited to talk about it, and we're gonna do our best to stay unbiased here, because obviously we're here to win money. As much as it'd be cool to go 8-0, that does nothing for my bank account. So I think we're gonna have a good opportunity here to really delve into some interesting things that. It's going to be pretty fun, and we'll have a fun game, I think.
If I can win a couple thousand, I'll take the one loss for the Cardinals. I don't care. They'll come back.
It's the NFL, man. Like I know people are – I think one of the reasons why they aren't getting love in the power rankings or in all the power rankings is just because, dude, it's the NFL. You're going to lose a game. Let's see what happens after you lose a game and how you return after that. So
in fact, it's probably better that you just get that loss out of the way early, like Green Bay.
Right. I don't want to lose 2 games, 2 out of 3 before the playoffs start. That's no good.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's get into this. We're going to try to keep this relatively short, as short as we possibly can. All right. So Green Bay visiting Arizona. Don't have to worry about rain like we've had the past 2 showdown slates, thankfully. Arizona is favored, most likely favored pretty heavily at this point, minus 6.5 at home, 50 over under it, and that ownership total I think is going to change drastically, because with all this news that's come out, we'll get to injuries in a minute, but there's a lot of COVID news. I really think that all the value comes in with Green Bay in this slate. I think there's going to be a ton of 4-2s. There's going to be a lot of Kyler Murray at captain, don't get me wrong, but I think there's going to be a lot of 3-3s and 4-2 or 2-4s with Green Bay in the 4 spot, because there's so much value. The lowest guy that I would go with besides the kickers in the defense, which we don't love, the lowest guy on the Cardinals that I would go with is 4,800, comfortably, and that's Rondale Moore. And then you've got a ton of dudes on Green Bay, an absolute ton of guys that I would feel comfortable with playing, even around the $1,400, $1,000, even the $600 range. So I think we're going to have to focus in on general roster construction. We can play as many chalky players as we want, as long as we focus in on what, when it comes to building a lineup, what that overall lineup looks like. And I think we can be different just by having different lineups, by having 4-2 Cardinal lineups. And I think that, to be honest, besides Kyler Murray, if you go with any other Cardinal in the captain, I think you're going to be unique enough, because Kyler's in Lamar range when it comes to ownership, but Kyler has so many more options than Lamar does, or like Alvin Kamara last night. He's the best player in the team. There's really no other options. It's an obvious choice. But with Kyler, I counted 7 total players that I think can score 2 touchdowns on the Cardinals.
Right.
There's just so many options. So I personally don't think you have to go Kyler. I'm going to load up on him on single entry and cash, but I think there's going to be certain roster construction with him at captain. It's going to be a 2-4. It's going to be 2 Cardinals, 4 Green Bay, and probably the same amount of guys, or the same kind of guys. So anyways, thoughts on just talking about it right off the bat. What are some things you're seeing when it comes to all the salary, and how can we be different without even really diving into the players much?
Yeah, man, I think you really covered it. I mean, I don't think anything that we're going to go over on the injuries tab is going to be shocking news to anybody at this point. So it's going to be pretty obvious that there's going to be value to be played on the Packers side. And when you start building that way, you can kind of consider some of those plays as punts, and they don't really get accounted for in your stacking. So I think we're going to end up seeing a lot of 4-2s Green Bay, like you were saying. And I think the problem is it's going to be hard playing anybody from Arizona, because, to your point, anybody can go off at any point. And even then, you could just have there's such a well-balanced offense that you could have everybody with 4 to 5 receptions, 80 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
And, what do you do with that? You have to make sure that you've got the right value guy that's getting it, right? So,
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting, but I think there's going to be some interesting scenarios where, don't fight me, anybody, but I think there are going to be some interesting scenarios where it might be okay to fade Kyler, right?
Wow.
This is a team that their defense is getting slept on because of how good their offense is. And if this defense can keep it, kind of rough for the Packers. We've seen that opposing offenses, or Kyler Murray doesn't necessarily throw for 350 yards. He goes out for 200 yards. And
Yeah.
he still throws up 4 touchdowns, but
Yeah.
at his price tag, you need him to hit 25 points. So it's going to be interesting, and I think we can build. I'm not saying you need to do that in 90% of your lineups, but
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a little leverage to be had that way.
One argument that you can throw in favor of Kyler is that he's going to consolidate all the points because he spreads things out so much.
Right.
There's 4 wide receivers on this team that I would feel comfortable putting at captain, to be honest. And then you got Zach Ertz now. You got 2 running backs that are dangerous. They're splitting carries. So there's just so much to go around. I think by putting Kyler at captain, it makes sense, because I know I'm kind of negating my argument earlier in the show, but you're gonna capture all those points. That's why everybody wants to play him. But at 40% ownership, I really do think that you're probably just wasting your time. Like, I'm gonna go 0. Like what I did with Kamara. I went 100% Kamara. I'm either going to go all in on him and try to capture all those different combinations, or I'm going to go 0. This week I'm going 0 with Kyler, but by the way, he's super expensive, and building on this slate is not going to be easy. We're going to see here in a minute.
And that's why it's so important to think about roster construction when we're building, right? Is because I don't necessarily want to fade Kyler. I just don't want to play him at captain, right? Now, I think it is something that you can do in a couple lineups, but to your point, if we're running a bunch of 4-2s and we're expecting the field to be stacked on 4-2 with Packers, you might be unique enough just in that roster construction that you don't have to worry about fading somebody you don't want to fade.
Yeah, I'm going to make it easy. I'm not going Kyler at captain, and I'm plugging in Kyler and Aaron Rodgers in the flex in every single lineup. Yeah. I'm just going to start that way, because the chances of them being in the optimal are incredibly high, in my opinion. With a 50 over-under, you've got one of the most legendary quarterbacks to ever play at this point. Needs a damn Super Bowl or another Super Bowl. But Aaron Rodgers he's going to go off most likely. And Kyler on the ground, that might just be enough. You might get 1 or 2 touchdowns from Kyler, and he might not need to throw for over 200 yards. Let's get into injuries before this is too long of a show. All right, so there's a lot to talk about here. And look, with COVID, things we saw last year, we're seeing this year. Things can change up to the snap, basically. So please keep your eyes open. Listen be on Twitter. Hit us up in our Discord. I'll be posting on this YouTube video in the comments if anything changes. But there's a lot of moving parts here. The first thing to talk about, the biggest news, is Davante Adams is officially out. He will not be traveling with the team. And, that's unfortunate. I wanted this team at their best. I wanted the Cardinals to come out and win a game against their best. And, as a Suns fan, we know how it is. You go out and you win big time, and people just make excuses because, they weren't at full strength. Well, nobody's at full strength. The Cardinals have had the most COVID cases this year. They didn't play with a head coach against the Rams, or who was it? Against the
Browns.
Against the Browns, and we spanked them. Anyways, Davante Adams out. It's unfortunate, but it makes things a little bit easier for us when it comes to Green Bay, because there's a lot of value to choose from on the receiving side. DeAndre Hopkins is questionable. Now, from the reports coming out, he's most likely going to play, but he could be limited. And when he's been questionable in the past and been hurting with he's got a hamstring injury. He's a wide receiver. Hamstring injuries not something you really want, especially for a guy like that. So for me, with DeAndre Hopkins questionable, obviously I'm going to play him, but I might be a little bit under the field on him because I think that his price tag is going to limit us a little bit, and I do honestly think that he could just have an average game, and that'll immediately make our lineups dead. Now, Alan Lazard is officially out. He's on the COVID list. He's not vaccinated, so there's no chance that he can make it back in time. And he was going to be my number one play on this slate. He was looking good last week. And with Davante Adams out in the past, he's performed well. He's kind of got that big body. He's got that similar build that can go up and catch the ball in the end zone, but he's not going to be playing this week. So that brings us to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's been out with a hamstring injury. Now, his status is questionable. I do think he's going to play. He's traveling with the team. That's a good sign. But keep your eyes open. He's probably going to go out and test that hammy, and if he's not up for it, they're just not going to play him. If he does play, he's a good price, and I really want to get a lot of him. But like I said, hamstring injuries, especially for a guy like MVS who's going to be running these long routes, and his speed is what's important. It might limit him quite a bit. So even if he is active, it could be a trap. That's pretty much all there's to talk about when it comes to injuries.
Well, I do have a couple that I want to point out because I think they really matter for this game, and it's something that doesn't really get brought up in a lot of injury reports because we're so caught up in really the skill players that we're interested in. But the Packers are also going to be out. Be without David Bakhtiari, who is an all-pro tackle. Chandler Jones is coming back. And I don't know if anybody remembers last year because you probably didn't watch any Cardinals games, but Marcus Golden and Chandler Jones, that's a pretty dynamic duo as well. J.J. Watt may be out for this game, but this defensive front is still something to behold. And then Zach Allen's back this week as well. And then some important things on the defense. They're going to be without Jair Alexander, so their number one corner, and they're going to be without Zadarius Smith. And then they're going to be out their number two corner in Kevin King.
Wow.
So there's things we need to take into account for here. And this Green Bay Packers defense, if you take away the Washington football team game, I think they were something of like 15 touchdowns allowed in the red zone and 15 red zone possessions, which is historically bad. So I just think there's going to be, to our point initially about being so high on the Packers, I think that there's going to be a lot of value stuck there when we're going to have some things that might open up a little bit more on the Cardinals side of the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And J.J. Watt is out for this game, but at least we get Chandler Jones back. J.J. Watt, you were telling me earlier, it's gonna help Aaron Jones, I think, a little bit, and A.J. Dillon as well. So, all right. Anything else to talk about? You want to get into it?
Let's get into it, man. I think we're eating our time here.
That's all right. It's all good. Let's get into it. All right, we're breaking this bad boy down. Kyler Murray, 12K, play him. Aaron Rodgers, 11.4K, play him.
Yeah,
that's the show.
I don't know what we're supposed to talk about here. Play them both. I might fade both of them in 10% total just to be safe.
Yeah, I will be hand building my lineups like a psychopath, but I will, and I'm gonna make it a point to fade one of them in a few different, very specific builds. But that's it. I'm gonna just jam them in right away in the flex and worry about the other couple positions. That's gonna make it so much easier than having to worry about that. And I'm not doing it because it's easy. I'm doing it because it's smart. All right. Yeah. Not a whole lot to talk about here. Actually, one more thing to talk about. So last week, Taylor Heineke had 95 rushing yards against the Packers. Taylor freaking Heineke. He should have had 2 touchdowns as well. So I think Kyler Murray's a little bit better than Taylor Heineke. So
yeah, but dude, I think the problem here is Kyler Murray's been so damn efficient this season that he just hasn't had to do anything else. You know what I mean? I fully anticipate this is going to be a game where he's going to be needed a little bit more, but he's just gotten so good in the pocket and so comfortable with this offensive line that I don't know. But it is a good point, and if anybody's going to outperform Taylor Heineke, it's going to be Kyler Murray.
Exactly. Guess, So let's move over to running backs. Who do you want to start with?
Let's go Green Bay.
All right, let's go Green Bay. So this is pretty straightforward here. Aaron Jones, 9K. That's pretty low for him. And I personally think with all these injuries, especially if MVS is out, but even if he is in, Aaron Jones he's got a great opportunity to be on the field most of the game as a wide receiver, in the slot, in motion. And he's got a good opportunity to be on the field with A.J. Dillon, who's 1,400. So I think A.J. Dillon can get a lot more snaps than he typically would. And we've seen A.J. Dillon come on a little bit. He's hit or miss, but that's why he's priced at 1,400. But I personally think that Aaron Jones, he's the best player on the field besides Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to get him. They're going to try to get him the ball as much as possible. This is kind of like an Alvin Kamara situation the other night. So Aaron Jones to me is a heavy play because you look at that defense versus position there. The Cardinals have a good defense. Most likely gonna stop the run. I mean, what was that stat you told me that Derrick Henry only team to not have 100 yards was against the Cardinals
in week 1? Yeah,
but
remember that's a healthy Julio and a healthy AJ Brown too. So
and look, I think Aaron Jones is a lot better than just getting the ball handed off to him. He can do a lot more things. I'm not scared to play him. He's going to be a priority to get him into a lot of lineups, and I think you can play him with AJ Dillon. Yeah. But here's the thing. I mean, you're seeing value right off the bat, 1,400. That's solid for AJ Dillon. And his projection, he's going to be in a lot of lineups based on his median projection. Now, 8.8. He's got a 5-point game. He's got an 18-point game and a 10-point game, but nothing else really to talk about here. He did have one game last year where he went off. Doesn't have any touchdowns this year, rushing touchdowns. He does have a receiving touchdown. So look, there's not a whole lot to talk about. I think you can play A.J. Dillon slightly above the field at 1,400. I'm not really going to mess with Kylan Hill at 200. I think he got a snap on the very first, the second play of the game last week. That's just random. I don't know why. But, I mean, it's $200, so it's worth talking about. So talk to me about the Green Bay running backs.
Yeah, man. I think you're exactly right. Aaron Jones is the second best player on the field other than Aaron Rodgers. And A.J. Dillon might not be too far behind considering the amount of injuries that they have. I guess Robert Tonyan would be the next one. But look, at 1,400, A.J. Dillon's probably my favorite value play as of right now. And I think this is where you start getting into that territory where it's going to be difficult to play for Cardinals. It's because you want to have A.J. Dillon, you want to have Jones, and you want to have Rodgers, right? So this is where, when we're talking about hand building and where we might fade one of the quarterbacks, where I might have a 4-2 stack of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon.
Yeah.
And that normally seems kind of counterintuitive for a team that we're expecting to probably play from behind a little bit, but they're going to be heavily involved because who the hell else is Aaron Rodgers comfortable with? And Aaron Rodgers is picky about his receivers, man. He just recently started liking Allen Lazard and MBS.
Yeah.
If MBS gets a case of the drops, he's gonna get pissed again. And he does not like his backup receivers. This has been an ongoing thing in Green Bay for the past 15 years, right?
Yeah. Randall
he
Cobb.
literally went and got Randall Cobb back because
exactly.
he cannot, he still does not like these guys. And I think people are forgetting about that.
Yeah.
So that chemistry piece is huge for A-Rod. And if there's any hiccups there, these guys are just going to get all the volume. That dump pass is too easy for him to make. So,
I mean, look, we've already talked about 3 guys we love from the Packers, and we're not even to the wide receivers and tight ends yet. Right. So that's what I'm trying to say here. It's just such an obvious thing to get Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and a little bit of A.J. Dillon. Not even talking about the wide receivers yet. They're going to, most likely, a lot of the ownership is going to shift over to Green Bay as we get closer to lock. So keep an eye on that. One way to just be different is play three Cardinals or 4 Cardinals. And I don't think it's a stupid thing. They're favored by 6.5 points at home with the 50 total. It's not like I'm telling you to play the Texans in a 4 stack. You know what I'm saying? All right. Let's see. Let's move over to Cardinals. Let's do it. All right, so here's the interesting thing here. There's only 2 guys to talk about, and they're pretty much splitting it here. Now, James Conner is the touchdown guy. James Conner has 6 touchdowns this year. So, to me, he's not getting as many snaps. He's not getting as many targets out of the backfield, but he's got 6 touchdowns. He's up and down. You see an 18-point total, 20-point total. There's a 12-point total in there. I think his floor is relatively high, and same with Chase Edmonds. But Chase Edmonds has 0 touchdowns this year. Now, do I think that that's going to continue throughout the year? No, he's going to get a touchdown one of these weeks. Can it be this week? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not telling you that the first 7 weeks it means everything. I think he can still score a touchdown. But even without that, look at that, 12 points, 14 points, 20 points, 10 points, 14 points in week 1. If you get a guy with 14 points, at 7K, I think he can make the optimal in a game like this. And I just don't see people really latching on to the Cardinals running backs because of it's a whole different situation with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. We know Aaron Jones can get the ball in other ways, but James Conner and Chase Edmonds, they're splitting things down the middle. They're eating each other's fantasy points. So where do you go here? Do you think that there's some way to really be different and really kind of catch an edge by kind of forcing one of these guys into your lineups?
Yeah, man. If I'm going to put it simply, I like them both. I like them individually, and I'm going to have a decent amount of them. It's going to be a very nice price to kind of just jam in there, and you do have the potential for a touchdown from both guys. I know Chase doesn't have any this year, like you said, but he's already popped off 2 or 3 big runs in the past, 2 weeks. One more missed tackle, these are 70-yard touchdowns.
Yeah.
So these are things that we want to keep in mind. And everyone, again, is going to be going to the Packers' obvious play. So I think it's going to probably keep James and Chase close to 20% ownership each. And I like that. I like that ownership. You don't have to get too crazy to get them both in there. And honestly, you can capture all the offense, most likely just by having James, Chase, and Kyler, and then running it back with 3 Packers if you want. So, I think there's going to be interesting ways to get different. And, here's one more thing. Is Vance Joseph I think he's doing a good job game planning for upcoming offenses. And, if you don't want Aaron Rodgers to beat you, don't let him have the ball. So, I'm sure he's pushing on Cliff to kind of get some more run game established this week, right? Maybe that's what he's looking for, and that's what we're coming in to do. It's a short week. Establishing the run is going to be a great way to kind of, taking that off a little bit from big hits and risking your quarterback again.
And the Cardinals have quietly had a pretty good year when it comes to running the ball. It's just very quietly, but because there's not that star and you're splitting carries between 2 guys. Here's the interesting thing. Chase Edmonds had 68% of the snaps last week to James Conner's 29. The week before, 55% for James Conner's to 38 for Chase Edmonds. So who knows who's going to come out hot? Who knows who's going to they're scripting X amount of plays at the beginning of the game. Maybe Conner gets more snaps. Maybe Chase Edmonds gets more snaps. We don't know. I think you should spread these guys out evenly. And one more thing to add is I think that A.J. Dillon. I really think that he could be higher owned than both of these guys.
Yeah, it's possible.
I really do think so. All right, so let's move over to wide receivers for the Cardinals. Now, typically, DeAndre Hopkins, look, he's at 10.6K. He's expensive. He's worth it. He's a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL on one of the best offenses in the NFL. But you're talking about a guy who's banged up a bit on a short week, and he's expensive. You're going to need 2 touchdowns out of him, or a touchdown and 150 yards and 10 receptions for him to kind of pay off that because of what you're holding back. There's no way to get both quarterbacks and DeAndre Hopkins and a solid, expensive captain in a lineup together, most likely. So, to me, I'm likely to go a little bit under the field, and I'm not going to have any Actually, I'm going to have more Hopkins captain than I will flex. Before we get to the 3 other guys, what are your thoughts on DeAndre Hopkins, and how do we handle him this week?
Yeah, I don't know, man. DeAndre Hopkins is kind of one of those guys who's been performing at very nice median. I think he's a great play for cash games in flex because he's probably going to get you 18, 15 points. But he hasn't necessarily been needed to have his 12 reception, 150-yard day. So I don't think he's a priority for me on tomorrow night's slate.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I think if you want to capture the upside that he has, then you throw a couple lineups with him and captain. And that way, if he does go off, you've got him in the prime spot. But if he has a middling performance and you're fading him at flex, then he should be fine. I'm
pretty sure that this Jacksonville game, he was questionable as well. I think he was a game time decision. I could be wrong on that.
Bro, that game was after he had the 2 catches in the first quarter and then he wasn't targeted again.
Yeah.
But after half, that was the game that they came out and
after the kick
20-40 nothing or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I was at that game. That was not fun. That was not fun in that first half. Anyways, look, I mean, besides this output here, very solid cash play. I really do think so. And for tournaments, I like him at captain. I'm probably going to be under the field in the flex because I just don't think that you have to have Hopkins with an amazing game. He can have 7 catches for 80 yards and no touchdowns, and maybe kind of kill your lineups at that price tag. So Christian Kirk's at 7,200. He's been coming on this year. I'm pretty sure it's a contract year for him, and he wants to make some money this year. So he's had a good year. AJ Green has had a solid year, 6,800, resurrecting his career a little bit. And then you got the rookie Rondale Moore at 4,800, who could absolutely score 2 touchdowns. This is what I'm talking about. Every single one of these guys can score 2 touchdowns, in addition to the 2 running backs. So where are you going with Kirk, Green, and Rondale Moore? They're priced relatively well, but I think their ownership is going to be low because they're priced in this middle range where I think it's the stars and scrubs week for a lot of people.
So I think if we start ranking them by ownership, I think Rondale Moore is going to be the highest out of the 3, then Kirk and AJ Green. I think everyone is like Rondale Moore is that rookie gadget back that everybody's talking about and showing highlights about, right? So a bunch of people playing Showdown for the first time don't know much about the Cardinals. They're going to be wanting to play the guy that is flashy and has that touchdown upside, which he does, and he will get those opportunities. But I just like AJ Green, man. I just like AJ Green. He's becoming an integral part of the offense.
Yeah, look at that. Look at those numbers.
Yeah, he's priced well, and he's the guy we're looking for in GPP, right? We want that guy who may go out and get you a 0, but who can also go out and get you 20, 25 points. And, he may not be the guy tomorrow night, but there's a good chance that if DeAndre Hopkins is limited at all, that he turns into the number 1 wide receiver for, 15, 20% of the plays.
Yeah.
And look, exactly. I don't know if anybody saw that pass that Kyler Murray put into AJ Green on 3rd and 18 last week.
Down to like the 3-yard line or whatever that was.
You don't throw that pass if you don't trust your receiver to be where you're supposed to be.
They've got chemistry, for sure.
Yeah, and at 6,800, I think he's going to be kind of slapped on. Christian Kirk's been hot too. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns last week and 2 the week before or some shit. It's something crazy. Yeah, he's doing great.
He's got 4 touchdowns this year. He's quietly one of these guys that can really just pick you up a first down when you need it. He's benefiting a ton with no Larry Fitzgerald this year.
Yeah, and him being able to play out of the slot gives him those big play upsides that we've been kind of missing from him the past 2 years. Yeah. And again, I think people are seeing that. I think Kirk and Moore are going to be more flashy, and so people are going to come off AJ Green. But AJ Green, he's a physical guy. Like, he's going to quietly go get his stuff done. And he could easily have 7 receptions, 120 yards, and 2 touchdowns tomorrow.
I agree. If DeAndre Hopkins in warm-ups is looking a little fragile and not looking great, I'm already going to be high on AJ Green, but I'm going to go heavy at captain with AJ Green.
Oh, hell yeah, bro.
For sure.
6,800? Yeah.
All right, let's move over to the wide receivers for Green Bay. This will be interesting. So MVS, not confirmed playing. But look at this. The most expensive wide receiver on this team with one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL is 3,800. You got a bunch, look, no offense to any of these guys, but, they're kind of scrubs. Let's just be honest here. You don't have a number 1 or a number 2 wide receiver.
Bro, there's a reason Devontae Adams gets 25 targets a game. Like, he won't even throw it to Allen Lazard. It's serious.
Yeah. And I wish Lazard was playing because I would just lock him. Yeah. I would lock Lazard in. But look, with MVS coming back, it's scary because of that hamstring injury. I don't know if he's going to be at 100%, but who the hell else are they going to throw to? That's why I think Aaron Jones is a solid play this week. MVS, we know what he's capable of, and we know that he has high upside, but he's been out since week 3. Is he in shape? Is he, just because he's playing doesn't mean he's even at 60 or 70%. So
well, would he even be activated if the Adams news didn't happen? Because that stuff was pretty sequential. So it's likely that they brought that news out because they may not have had enough wide receivers. So they didn't want to risk anybody from
I don't know.
Practice squad.
The reports I'm seeing is he's traveling with the team and he's expected to return.
Okay.
So I'm going to put it like 80% chance that he plays. That's just me. That's just my opinion. But obviously, let's be clear. He could come out and test that hamstring on the day and just not be into it, and he might not play. One loss for this team is not a huge deal. But if you lose MVS for the year because he re-aggravates that hamstring injury, That's not smart. So they're not going to try to force him in if he's not going to play or if he's not healthy enough. Randall Cobb is at 3,600. Equanimous St. Brown, which, that's his brother. His brother plays for the Lions, right?
Yep.
Amari Rogers at 400 and St. Brown's at 600. Malik Taylor was activated off the practice squad, I'm pretty sure, or he's activated off something. So he's at 200. I think you got to play one of these guys, in my opinion. I think you really got to try to find one of these guys. And if you get it right, you're going to have a good night because he's got to throw it to somebody. And I know he doesn't love these guys, but Aaron Rodgers is probably going to drop back and throw the ball quite a bit this week. So who do you like here? Is it worth trying St. Brown, Rodgers, and Taylor? And besides those guys, are you risking it with Scantling and Cobb?
Yeah, man, I don't mind MVS. I don't mind Randall Cobb. Both are priced really nicely, so it really isn't much of a risk. And I do expect 20 to 25 completions. So even if Randall Cobb only has 5 receptions for 60 yards, 11 points at 3,600 is more than probably the kickers are going to give us. And I say probably because Matt Prater could kick a 60-yarder at the end of the half. Who knows?
Yeah, it's true.
Right. So
or miss it and give up a touchdown. Either one.
Right. Let's pray that doesn't happen. But anyways, MVS, Randall Cobb, they'll both be in my player pools. And so will most of these other guys, right? I don't mind taking a random stab on Malik Taylor, Rodgers, or St. Brown. I just really want to see what kind of the ownership projections are starting to look like tomorrow. Yeah. Because I don't think anybody's going to be really afraid to kind of take stabs in these guys. You know what I mean? So these lower price guys might be pretty chalky in comparison to what we're used to when we're playing these $200 dudes. So
yeah,
that's just something to keep an eye on. But yeah, they're in play, man.
I think you rotate these guys out. I think you lock your captain, you lock your 2 quarterbacks, and you get a core in, and then you just rotate each one of these guys out if you're hand building, or even if you're optimizing. Make a rule that you want to try to get one of these guys in your lineups. I don't think that's going to hurt you. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's going to find a way to make these guys better. He's going to find a way to make Malik Taylor look like he's an NFL wide receiver somehow. And all you need is one long pass to one of these cheap guys to kind of get you on the road to really having a good night.
All right. Really, nobody does it better.
Exactly. All right. I mean, look, we all remember Jeff Janis.
Who the fuck is Jeff Janis?
We remember some of these players that, dude, they had such good seasons or amazing games, and then you never heard from them again once they left the Packers. There's a reason for that. So any one of these guys is in play. You got to try to figure out which one is going to go off because one of them is. So tight ends. Look, Robert Tonyan is 4,600. He had another good game last week. I don't know why they refused to price this guy up. Well, actually,
he was having a rough early.
I do know why. Yeah, that is why. But still, he's still the same price as he was last week after scoring a touchdown on National Tight Ends Day at 63 yards, four receptions. He's had a rough time. But look, who the hell else are going to throw the ball to? Tonyan at 4,600 is solid. I think he's going to be pretty high owned, considering. Yeah. And Mercedes Lewis at 1K. You have to have Mercedes Lewis in a couple lineups because he's the kind of guy that can score 2 touchdowns on you. He really can.
Who else is he going to throw to?
I mean, look, Mercedes Lewis hasn't really done much. I get it. But come on, it's a guy that Aaron Rodgers knows and he's played with in the past. And yeah, if he gets you 6 fantasy points, you might be screwed. But
man, that's not bad.
But all it takes is one, play action corner toss to the end zone, and your night is a lot different. Okay. So let's move over to the Cardinals, and we got one guy, Zach Ertz, 6,200, first player ever to score back-to-back weeks with 2 different teams. I mean, look, actually, hang on a second. Let's talk real quick about that stat you showed me about Green Bay's, was it Arizona's defense against tight ends?
Arizona's defense against tight ends.
Tell me about that.
And this is specifically against, or from a fantasy perspective. The Cardinals, crazily enough, are number 1 in fantasy points allowed to defense or tight ends. I think it was 10 total points,
The whole
which
year.
is kind of crazy.
The whole year.
The whole season, which is by far number one. There's a couple that are also in the teens, but most others are in the 30s and plus.
Hell
So
has
it's kind of
frozen
crazy.
over. The Cardinals
Yeah,
are
dude,
good
I
against
wasn't
tight ends.
expecting that. I thought that was going to be our worst stat.
So, and on the other side of it, Zach Ertz going against Green Bay. Green Bay's middle of the road when it comes to fantasy points against tight ends. You can't really look into that too much. But I do think that Zach Ertz, Kyler.
Bro, Hawkinson ripped them apart.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I do remember
he had
that.
25 targets. They just couldn't do anything to stop him. And Zach Ertz is better than TJ Hawkinson.
There's a chance that Zach Ertz is less than 15% owned, just because there's so many options on the Cardinals, and they're all they're all above 4,800. Zach Ertz at 6,200 just might not make it into your lineups because he's going to get forgotten about. His median projection is not going to jive with that 6,200. So I think you got to really try to prioritize him. You got to boost his projection. You got to up his randomness. Whatever you got to do to try to get him into more lineups. Be above the field on Zach Ertz this week. That's my opinion. All right. So kickers and defense, our favorite subject. Look, both of these kickers are solid. Matt Prater can easily hit a 60-yarder in this game and kind of change things for everybody. Mason Crosby is clutch, although he did have... When was that? When he missed a couple... Was there an overtime? There was like an overtime game against some team, and he missed a couple... He missed like three in a game, and then he made the game winner. Anyways, Mason Crosby at 4K. These guys are priced up, but I think it reflects their talent quite a bit. So, we get a 16-point game, a 9-point game, and a 16-point game for Crosby. And Prater, I think Prater has a higher floor. I really do. Just because he can hit a 50-yarder, rolling out of bed. So what do you do with these kickers? They're going to be right around 15% owned, each of them. Are we doing our usual, just kind of be below the field with them? How are you handling this?
Yeah, I don't hate them if they're a last piece in my lineups, and I really don't have much else to do, but that's going to be because I selected everything else. I'm not going to be intentionally putting them into lineups because I think you're just better off punting. Honestly, I think you're better off playing like a $200 Malik Taylor and then just spending up somewhere else and hoping dude gets a catch or two. It's a 50-point total from an explosive offense, one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL right now, and one of the most explosive quarterbacks that's ever played the game. So it's just too hard for me not to want to grab random dudes that superstars are going to be playing with. This isn't Lamar Jackson throwing to Sammy Watkins on his 14th year in 70-16.
Yeah.
This is Aaron Rodgers, who's probably one of the dude, we've seen it. He's got 17 of the last 34 Hail Marys in the entire league. I'm dead serious. No other quarterback has more than 2 Hail Mary touchdowns, and he has 17 of them.
Him and Baker Mayfield.
It's an insane stat. So I just rather have some guys up there throwing miracle passes and forcing miracle catches somehow.
One thing you can pretty much guarantee is the Cardinals are going to be involved in a Hail Mary.
Yes.
It's just going to happen, most likely. Look, Matt Prater is 4,200. You can pay $400 more and get Robert Tonyan for a team that has no one to throw the ball to. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
I would if I had to choose. If I had 150 lineups and I had to choose, every single time I'm going to Tonyan.
Yeah.
And if a kicker beats me, okay, who gives? I don't care. I'm not going to let if a kicker beats me, then whatever. But I'm not going to let a kicker screw most of my lineups over. I'm not going to do it. Defense, 3K for the Cardinals. I know the Cardinals are going against the Packers, and I know they're going against Aaron Rodgers, but you're talking about one of the best defenses in the NFL at this point. And what, number one in fantasy points scored?
So here's one thing that I think we're going to see. We're going to see a bolstered pass rush. We're getting Zach Allen back. The Cardinals are getting Chandler Jones back, and they're going to have Marcus Golden on the outside. They're going to want to step up for J.J. Watt. And with David Bakhtiari gone, that's the guy that's protecting against Chandler Jones.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a backup tackle against a guy who's second on the team in sacks and hasn't played the last 2 or 3 weeks and had 5 in week 1. That's it. Those are the only sacks he had. So, this is not a good situation for Aaron Rodgers, and I think that opens up opportunities for takeaways, which is going to be big for the Cardinals. And at 3K again, I still think that they have a chance of getting to 7 points more efficiently than Matt Prater does.
Absolutely.
So
3K, yeah.
If they get 4 sacks, which is very possible with this offensive line, and a takeaway or two, they could easily be in the optimal still. Now, I'm not saying put 15% in. I'm saying you can run a couple lineups, maybe 1 or 2, that have the Cardinals defense if you're thinking about getting a little frisky.
I think they're going to be right around 15% owned.
Yeah.
So I personally like being slightly above the field with them, and I'm not trying to be a homer here. I'm just pointing out that this team has been solid all year. They have a high floor. So, and you could we saw it last week, or we saw it on Monday Night Football. We saw Jameis Winston, we saw Alvin Kamara, and then we saw the Seahawks defense. Don't be afraid to ever, in a showdown slate, put a defense against multiple other players on the other team. It does not matter.
And let us clarify something. We're not just like homer fans that love our team. Like we're true Arizona sports fans. We are cautiously optimistic 100% of the time.
We actually hate our team
more
than
like
anything.
What am I supposed to do? Like I love the Cardinals, and I will sit there. It's self-deprecating behavior, and we're gonna watch the games while we get the shit kicked out of us. So like when we say that you might have to start acknowledging that the team is good, like it's tough because we're preparing for a letdown. Yeah. We're Browns fans essentially, right? Like it's we get it, like Vikings fans, like we have this camaraderie in this brotherhood, and it fucking sucks. But if this defense is good and they're getting slept on because we have an MVP candidate crushing on offense.
Yeah, and all the attention is going right to him. So let's go to our fades here. Ellie is not really fading anybody. I think that's smart, and I'm going to join him, except for I'm not really going to have much of Kyler at captain. I'm going to put him in my single entries. I'm going to put him if I do any head-to-heads or cash lineups. It's an obvious choice. But if I can get, if I can eliminate 40% of the field with one player, just having like an average game, not a great game, because if he has an average game, you're probably in trouble. He's got to have a rushing touchdown. He's got to pass for three touchdowns in this game. And he could absolutely do that. Don't get me wrong. But I'm willing to take the risk of not playing him at captain because, like I said earlier, there's so many players on this team that can score you 2 touchdowns. There's just so many players. And there's so much value on the other side that Kyler, his captain ownership might be up because of all the value from Green Bay.
Right.
All right. Here we go. Denny Green.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
We're talking about captains here. We're crowning their ass for tournaments. Ellie, you like Zach Ertz. That's a big surprise. A tight end at captain?
Yeah, it's my boy, man. Like, yeah, he looks good. He's going to be utilized in this offense, man. And he said it best on Sunday. Like, who are you supposed to cover? He said I'm not used to there being green around me. Yeah, they're just covering.
He's played for the Eagles his entire career. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's it. That's my analysis.
Yeah, I think he's middle of the range. He's probably middle of the road when it comes to salary. He's going to be forgotten about. It'll probably be less. He'll probably be 3 or 4% owned at the captain. You get a touchdown and 80 yards out of him, and then you're able to fit in more of those high-powered guys in the flex. Yeah, that's all you may need. So look,
I got one last thing.
Yeah.
What if Cliff Kingsbury just decides to come out and flex on people and say, "Hey, cool, I got a new tight end." Dude, he could easily come out and just have 120 yards.
Zach Ertz is probably already the best tight end in Arizona Cardinals history after one game.
Bro, he was the best tight end when we traded for him.
Exactly. It's between him and Leonard Pope. That's pretty much it. All right, so Marquez Valdez-Scantling. This is dangerous. And look, I'm giving you guys a warning right now. If you have a heart issue, if you're taking medication, don't do this, okay? Because this is not for the faint of heart. But MVS at captain, I built a few lineups with him, and my God, I feel very comfortable with the lineups with him just because of his salary and because of his upside. I know what he can do. I also know that he can get you 0. So I'm willing to throw that money away if necessary. But I do like him quite a bit above the field. I'll probably go like 20% of him at captain. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not going to just lock him at captain like I did with Kamara the other night. I'm not doing that. But at 20% at captain, to his probably 5% owned or maybe 7% owned, that's enough leverage that you're going to be okay. Are you going to have any MVS, or am I a crazy asshole?
I don't know yet, man. You might be a crazy asshole for a little bit here.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's build a lineup. We're at 44 minutes. That's all right. We got some good info here. So let's
While you're pulling that up, dude, the Lakers are about to lose to the Thunder.
Hey, I love it. If the Lakers lose every game this year, I'll be happy. Okay. Let's just optimize. Let's click this button and see what happens. Look at that. That's a 1-5.
Jesus.
Come on. This is what I'm trying to say.
Not a terrible lineup.
This is the worst lineup of all time. And if this wins the Millie Maker split 10,000 ways, I'm fine. I'll eat crow. But this is stupid. This is why I'm saying if you play 3 or 4 Cardinals in your lineups, you're probably going to be unique, even with chalky players. No thanks. Let's get rid of that. Let's build a Kyler Murray lineup that we'd be comfortable playing in a tournament. So Kyler, automatically going Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, it's going to be hard, don't get me wrong, but where do we go from here? We've got 5,000 a pop.
Can we do Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon?
Let's do it. So
throw in St. Brown. Sorry, man.
So this is going to be a 2-4. Yep. So $600. What does that get us? 9,800? Oh, interesting. We might not even need to go to St. Brown. No, because James Conner is the next highest. So let's pick our higher price guy, and then let's find our value first. So do we want to go Hopkins? Do we want to go Kirk? Do we want to go James Conner?
Let's go AJ Green.
All right, let's go AJ Green. That's going to leave us right in the middle here at 3,400. I think we'll be okay. You can go Cardinals defense. That gets you a 3-3. Obviously, you can go Mercedes. You can go jump way down to Mercedes Lewis. That leaves you way too much on you know. I don't think you need to do that. I think what you need to do is go up from AJ Green to Christian Kirk. That's Cardinals defense with 0 salary left. Not a bad lineup. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
All right, how about this? From Kirk, go to Ertz.
Okay.
And
4K.
That should give you Randall Cobb or MVS.
Yeah, MVS. This is a 2-4 or Randall Cobb. I don't mind that at all. But see, this is what I'm saying. With Kyler Murray at captain, you almost can't play 3 Cardinals.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be kind of a chalky build, man. That 3-3 stack with Kyler at captain. Yeah.
Because that's the only, I mean, now your saving grace here is not a lot of people are going to play Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon together. Just because, I don't know why. Because you're crazy. It does. We're talking showdown here, man. Who cares? You can handcuff all day. But this is proving my point. This is why I'm kind of staying away from Kyler. Now, if you choose to fade Aaron Rodgers, which I'm not going to do, then you open things up. And I think a lot of people are going to possibly do this, where they either fade Aaron Rodgers or Aaron Jones. And I think that's going to get you in trouble because you're talking about 90% of the offense. You're fading one of these guys, and I just don't think it's smart at all. All right, let's build with somebody we like building with. So do you want to go Zach Ertz and see where we're at here?
Let's do it.
All right. So Zach Ertz, and then
quarterbacks.
Automatically put both quarterbacks. Yeah. All we got to figure out is 3 different positions, and you could cycle through 20 different lineups with all these different positions if you are confident with the captain. That's why I like hand building.
Let's go AJ Dillon actually.
Okay.
And then can we go?
I mean, you can go Aaron Jones too.
Well, hold on. I want to see what if we can get 2 more pass catchers or something from Arizona. Let's throw in Chase Edmonds.
Okay. Yeah, we got to remember to play these Cardinals running backs because I think they're just going to get forgotten about. 8,900. Christian Kirk.
Yeah, and you can even swap out. So what if we come off of AJ Dillon? Can we come a little higher?
3,100 Cardinals defense. Or AJ Dillon. That's pretty much it. I mean,
so what if we go from Kirk to Green?
Let's try it. That might be just enough to get us Cobb. Does it? 3,500? Nope. Cobb is 3,600, just short.
All right, Rondell Moore off AJ Green.
Yeah, all right. See, this is what you said at the beginning makes total sense because what we just did, it makes it hard to build with those two top guys. You go down to Rondell Moore, it's going to make it a lot easier. 5,500. Now you can choose quite a bit of few different people. You can go Tunyon, which is amazing. You can go both kickers. You can go MVS, Cobb, whoever you want.
Yeah, and then and from there you can even come because you'll have so throw in. Go ahead and throw in Tunyon again.
Yep.
Now watch if you don't like Edmonds, you can go to Kirk. You can go to Connor. So you got a lot of ground you can go. You can go down to Green and maybe make a couple other adjustments.
This is not a comfortable build for anybody. You're telling me, oh, the Packers, I'm going to have Rodgers and Tunyon? No way. It's okay. It's going to be okay.
You want to try one more? Let's do Ertz, Kyler, and let's do A-Rod and Aaron Jones and see if we can what kind of.
Yeah, let's do that. I really like this. This is a core. This is a great core right here. 4,100 a pop. So let's go low. Let's grab our Green Bay player. Let's do a 3-3 here.
All right, let's try AJ Dillon. I want to see what happens here.
Okay, I love it.
And then
6,900.
Oh,
so
my
Zach Ertz.
Boy. Put him in.
Or AJ Green.
No, bro. Yeah. And then again, you can go down to Rondell Moore if you want, make any adjustment. But I like that, dude, because that's nice and balanced. You got Kyler, Ertz, and AJ Green. You're not overloading that passing attack, and then you have all the offense from Green Bay.
Yeah, I agree. Man,
can you actually go from Green to Moore and then maybe from Dillon? Oh, we already did that. Never mind. No, not with Aaron Jones. Yeah, see if you can go from Dillon to
Rondell Moore.
You'd have to go to
3,500. Not quite with Cobb, man. DraftKings knows. They know what they're doing. All right, let me try MVS here. Take your blood pressure medications before watching this, please. Here we go. MVS, both quarterbacks, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, 1,300. Can we get to AJ Dillon? You son of a
bitch.
Damn, by 100. That would have been nice. I would have entered this in the Millie Maker if I could do that, but I can't. That's all right. Mercedes Lewis.
Mercedes Lewis, yeah. I don't mind any of those bottom feeders.
St. Brown, Rodgers. Anyways, you get the point. So, but if you go down to Christian Kirk or AJ Green, let's go to AJ Green. You got 5,100. Rondell Moore. It's a 3-3. Yeah. You got Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, a captain, Kyler, and two of his receivers. Or what you do, you go James Conner or Chase Edmonds, either one. They're priced pretty close to each other. And that leaves you with Randall Cobb or even Mason Crosby if you wanted to go down that route, if you wanted to get a couple kicker lineups. Or you just go AJ. There's so many options with MVS. Let's do this. Let me actually optimize with MVS and see what it wants to give us. Tunyon, Edmonds, Jones, Rodgers, and Murray. I don't hate that either.
Yeah.
All right, let's build one more lineup.
Let's throw Hopkins in a captain because we were talking about that.
Let's do it.
Because I'll probably run this anyway.
All right, so let's just see what we can do here with both quarterbacks. This is going to be hard. We got 3,500-ish for three positions.
I want to punt first. Let's throw in Malik Taylor.
I like it. $200. Why not? That evens out that edge on the captain salary. So that's 5,200 a pop. You got to go Zach Ertz or something here, right? Or Tunyon, right?
Hold on.
Can we do both?
Let's try. You might be able to. I think it's going to be just too tight. Can you do Rondell Moore? And that should give you
57. 60. So you can go Tunyon.
I guess, maybe we have to go MBS.
Let's do this. Aaron Jones. All right, and then let's get us a little bit of our boy
Dylan.
I can work with that. That's fine.
Hopkins, captain, Murray, Rodgers, Malik Taylor, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. I don't hate it. You can come off of Aaron Jones and go to one of the wide receivers and then put Tunyon in or something like that. But this is a solid build. Like I said, with Hopkins, I really want to get more captain than I do in the flex, just in case because he's most likely going to go off. If he goes off, he goes off. If he doesn't, he just has an average game. All right, anything else to talk about here?
Go Cardinals. That's all I got, man.
All right, let's get an unbiased estimate as to what we think is going to happen in this game. Are they going to hit the over? And who, can the Cardinals cover this?
Bro, I think the Cardinals win this game 37-17.
We really need a solid Thursday night game. We need a solid island game because it's been a minute. It really has been a minute.
I don't know that this game is going to be. I think it's going to be a 10 point difference. I mean, obviously 37-17. So
I'm going to go 34-31 Cardinals. It's going to be close. Right. It's going to be close. What is that, 65? Yeah. I really hope that this is a shootout. I hope that both teams are playing well. After that freaking garbage game we saw on Monday Night Football, we got to have a good game here, man. We really do. Who's your low-owned guy that's going to score a touchdown here this week?
This is going to sound crazy, but I honestly think it's going to be Chase Edmonds. I think he's going to be under 20% owned, and I think he is going to get a touchdown this week.
I agree. This is going to be his week. Now Jacoby Myers just needs a touchdown on Sunday, and we'll complete the cycle. Mercedes Lewis is my guy. I'm not gonna be super high on him, but I do think he has an opportunity to score a touchdown this week because all the focus is gonna go on Tunyon and MBS if he plays. I think Lewis can sneak in touchdown here. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. If you're listening on the podcast, appreciate that. If you're listening on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, help us out, subscribe, tell your friends. We appreciate it, and we'll see you guys for Sunday Night Football. See you later.